Hello everybody! Welcome back. It is I, Tony, and welcome to more TTBurger game reviews here on YouTube. Your source of PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4 game reviews and more. We're continuing here with episode 302. Episode 302 part 9 of 10 parts of my Final Fantasy series review. We have one more game after this, and this is the final game on the PlayStation 3 we're looking at here. Last time, I took a look at Final Fantasy XIII 2, starring Sarah Farron, voiced by Laura Bailey. I gave it a perfect 10. It was an excellent sequel. It improved on a lot of the problems that Final Fantasy XIII had. It's definitely a must-buy for sure. Just make me all pick it up. Now, we got another game here to talk about here. It's the final in the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy here. Our friend Lightning is back as the protagonist here, as the one-man army, one-woman army per se, and we got the game right here for you all. This is Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy XIII. For the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 and later on Microsoft Windows. Well everyone, we have made it to the final part of the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy. This time our hero Lightning is back for more action. After Final Fantasy XIII 2's cliffhanger ending, I was anxiously waiting for the final part because that cliffhanger ending was sad because, spoiler alert here everyone, Sarah Farron died after having a vision of the future in her head. It saddened me because Sarah was one of my favorite protagonists in the Final Fantasy franchise, and even though her spirit is still alive as of right now, her physical death set a somber and urgent tone for what was to come. This review will dive deep into Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII, focusing on its unique mechanics, narrative ambition, and how it performs on the PlayStation 3, and we'll explore why its bold design choices make it a memorable, if imperfect, finale. Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII was released on November 21st, 2013 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and later on December 10th, 2015 for the Microsoft Windows. This came out around the time the PlayStation 4 was making its debut in the West, truly pushing the boundaries of the last generation consoles. Today, we're specifically looking at the PlayStation 3 version, so we have a lot to talk about here, so let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. The most striking and defining feature of Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII is its audacious time limit mechanic. The world of Nova Chrysalia is literally on the brink of absolute destruction, with only 13 days remaining till the final apocalypse. Lightning, now serving as the savior of the god Bunivels, is tasked with the monumental mission to harvest the souls of humanity to replenish a new world and guide them to salvation. This isn't just a narrative backdrop, it's the core engine of the entire gameplay experience. Every single action you take, from accepting a side quest to engaging in combat to simply exploring, consumes precious in-game time. You're constantly checking the clock strategically, prioritizing quests and making difficult decisions on how to spend your dwindling hours before time is up. Do you chase down a main quest that advances the plot, or do you dedicate time to a side quest that might unlock crucial gear or abilities? The constant pressure cooker creates an unparalleled sense of urgency and consequence that is rarely seen in RPGs, especially in Final Fantasy. It forces a strategic mindset, encouraging efficient and careful planning. While it can be stressful, the mechanic is a brilliant gamble that generally sets Lightning Returns apart, making every minute count and every achievement feel hard and earned. It also encourages New Game Plus playthroughs, as it's virtually impossible to see and do everything in a single run, adding significant replay value for those who embrace the challenge. Combat in Lightning Returns is once again a radical departure from its predecessors, yet it feels like the most refined and exhilarating evolution of the 13 battle system. This time, Lightning is a lone wolf. She's on her own, one-man army, but she's far from defenseless. The core mechanic revolves around her ability to switch between the three schemata, essentially customizable garb outfits that define her stats, abilities, and even the weapons and shield in her own time. Each garb has its own independent active time battle gauge, allowing for rapid-fire switching and constant flow of offensive and defensive maneuvers. You can seamlessly transition between a physical attacker, a magic caster, and a defense tank all within seconds. This system is a genuine joy to use and it's easy to master. The sheer depth of customization is staggering, with hundreds of garbs to acquire, upgrade, and mix and match with various abilities and accessories. The possibilities of creating synergistic loadouts are virtually endless. It's a system that demands experimentation and strategic thinking, rewarding precise timing for perfect guards and well-timed ability usage to stagger enemies. Landing those critical hits, exploiting elemental weaknesses, and fluidly transitioning between the schemata to maintain pressure feels incredibly satisfying. On the PlayStation 3, the combat generally runs smoothly, even during hectic encounters with numerous particle elements, though a very occasional minor frame rate dips can occur during most of the chaotic moments with the battles and everything. While Lightning Returns boasts more open and expansive environments than its highly linear predecessors, calling it a true open world is kind of a stretch. Nova Chrysalia, the dying world, is divided into several distinct regions. The bustling, futuristic city of Yusunin, the serene yet haunting wildlands, the ancient-like desert-like Dead Dunes, and the solemn gothic city of Luxurion. Each area has its own unique aesthetic, distinct quests, and challenging monsters. These regions are quite expansive and offer a decent amount of exploration, secrets to uncover, and a multitude of side quests. You'll spend time running around, talking to NPCs, solving environmental puzzles, and battling monsters to gather souls, and getting money to, like, you know, the guild to buy stuff in the shops and everything. The art direction is fantastic, truly capturing the feeling of a world slowly fading away, with beautiful vistas and atmospheric lighting. However, on the PlayStation 3, the transitions between these regions can be a bit of a drag. We're talking about noticeable loading screens that do not take that long, but they do interrupt the flow of the exploration and questing more than you think. This sometimes can break the immersion, remind you that you're playing on the PlayStation 3, pushing its hardware limits, while the PlayStation 4 is on its way here to the west. The story, well, the narrative, as with all Final Fantasy titles, is central to the experience, and Lightning Returns attempts to tie up the disparate threads of the entire Final Fantasy XIII saga. It brings back beloved characters like Hope, Noel, Snow, Vanille, Fang, and even Syrah's Spirit, offering resolution to the fate of Cocoon, Grand Pulse, and the Foul Sea. Lightning's journey is deeply personal and often poignant as she grapples with her role as a divine savior, her past failures, and the impending doom of humanity. There are some genuinely touching moments of introspection and powerful character beats, particularly as Lightning confronts her own emotional baggage that burdens her of the past. However, true to Final Fantasy XIII form, the lore can get incredibly dense and abstract. The explanations for the world state, Bunavi's motivations, and the complex relations between gods and mortals can feel convoluted, requiring significant investment to fully grasp. It's like trying to understand a gourmet meal with too many exotic ingredients. You know, it's complex, but you might struggle to identify everything. And the ending? Oh boy, that ending. It's epic, it's philosophical, and it aims for a grand existential conclusion that may lead some people cheering, others feeling deeply satisfied, and significant portions scratching their heads asking, wait, what just happened? It's an ending that demands thought and interpretation, which can be both a strength and a weakness, depending on your preference for narrative closure. For a game pushing the boundaries of the PlayStation 3, Lightning Returns looks pretty damn good. Character models are highly detailed, especially Lightning's extensive wardrobe, which showcases impressive texture work and intricate designs. The environments, while not always sprawling in terms of sheer scale, are artistically strong and often beautifully rendered with strong lighting and atmospheric effects. However, the PlayStation 3 version isn't without its quirks, that are largely attributable to the hardware limitations. As mentioned, the load times between regions are noticeable and can slightly disrupt the pacing. While combat generally maintains a good frame rate, you occasionally notice some minor frame rate dips, particularly in the busy hub areas with many NPCs or during intense combat sequences with an abundance of particle effects. Texture popping is also occasionally present, where the higher resolution textures load in the moment and after an area appears, and in some distant environments can appear a bit blurry. These are not deal breakers though by any means. The game remains perfectly playable, but they do slightly detract from overall polish. The soundtrack, composed by Masashi Hamazu, Mitsuko Suzuki, and Naoshi Mizuta, is always the Final Fantasy top-notch. It's a fitting accomplishment with a mix of melancholic and energetic tracks that perfectly capture the game's unique mood and impending sense of doom. The voice acting is good, and you know, it's got most of the same actors, or all the same actors from the previous games. And guess what? There's a Japanese audio option this time, but you have to buy it on the PlayStation Digital Network store. I forget how much it costs, but you know, it was free when the game came out, but now you have to buy it, and that's kind of a pain in the neck, which should have been included right away. But it's good to finally have Japanese audio, and the Japanese audio is excellent, and I stuck with that. It makes you forget about the English audio, definitely. Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII is a brave, experimental, and ultimately fascinating conclusion to a much maligned saga on the PlayStation 3. It takes significant risks with its design, some of which pay off magnificently, while others feels a little bit undercooked or simply won't appeal to everyone. The time limit mechanic is a masterstroke that elevates the sense of urgency and strategic planning, making every moment feel impactful. The schematic combat system is a genuinely brilliant evolution of the series' active-time battle routes, offering deep customization and satisfying fast-paced action. However, the narrative, while ambitious and emotionally resonant at times, can be dense and its ending decisive. The constant pressure of the ticking clock, while innovative, might also be a source of stress for players who prefer a more leisurely RPG experience. Furthermore, the PlayStation 3's hardware limitations do manifest in some minor technical hiccups, such as noticeable load times and occasional frame rate dips, though nothing truly game-breaking about it. It's a game that demands your patience and willing to embrace its unique design choices. For those who preserve and engage with its system, Lightning Returns offers a rewarding and often exhilarating experience, a satisfying and somewhat fractured swan song for Lightning and the Final Fantasy XIII universe. It may not be a perfect game, but it's a bold, memorable, unique entry that dare to be different. And that's what I got to say about Final Fantasy XIII, Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy XIII. Now let's go to our TTBurger positives and negatives to give this game a score. For the TTBurger positives, an innovative time limit mechanic that has you checking the clock to be sure you know what you're doing. Deep and engaging schematic combat system. Extensive garb customization. Beautiful art direction and character models. Meaningful side quests that you don't have to take, but you can do them if you want to get new weapons and everything. Memorable and atmospheric soundtrack. Bold design choices. Strong character development for Lightning. Excellent sound, which we have the Japanese audio included too. I gotta put that there. Japanese audio is included, but you gotta pay for it, but still. For the TTBurger negatives, convoluted and potentially divisive narrative. Constant pressure from the time limit can turn off some people. Noticeable load times on the PlayStation 3, minor technical hiccups on the PlayStation 3, requires multiple playthroughs for full completion if you want to see the whole thing and do New Game Plus and everything. Some people may be turned off with Lightning being by herself with no partners whatsoever, but you know, they did this in Final Fantasy XIII too with just Sarah and Noel. That's pretty much what I gotta say about Final Fantasy XIII, Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy XIII. So what's the score I give it? Because of the problems I have with it, I'm gonna have to take some points off here. And because of this, Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII gets a score of a 7.5 out of 10. I know it's kind of a lower score than usual, but it's still a good game, just, you know, you have to understand what the problems I have, that's why I gave it the score. And that's what I gotta say about Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII. When it comes to the trilogy, it goes Final Fantasy XIII 2 first, 13 second, and Lightning Returns last. All of them are good, just, you know, that last one just wasn't the best there, but still, it's considered a Final Fantasy game, definitely. And that's all what I gotta say for episode 302, part 9 of 10 parts. Next part is the grand finale, taking a look at Final Fantasy XV on the PlayStation 4. How does this finale air with everything? Is it gonna be good or bad? You have to find out. Which all I gotta say for episode 302, part 9 of 10 parts. Wrapping things up next with Final Fantasy XV on the PlayStation 4. This is Tony, peace out, have a day, take care of y'all, and see you in the next part.